Wow, here we are again, Tuesday, 8 o'clock. Man, I can't believe another show already. It seems like time is flying, and it's crazy. And we went from like summertime to wintertime to summertime to rain, all in a matter of one short weekend, which is really interesting. And I got to do some fun stuff. So anyways, I'm going to bring on, I have Joe with me. He finally popped in. Boom. What's up, Joe? How you doing, buddy?
What's going on, man? What's going on, everybody?
Hey, the whole thing, when I started, I was talking about, which I'm sure you could hear from the green room, I was talking about how it went winter so fast and how, we went that night to see a movie and we had to put Mr. Cuddles away, and then we didn't want him to eat the bird, and then it was freezing and all that kind of stuff was crazy. So I don't know what a crazy night that was. And I think I'm looking here to see if Bumblebee's back here. Whoop. What's up, B?
What's up?
Let's just move stuff around. Look at that, moving it around.
Give me 1 second. I'm trying to figure out why
Why you're all messed up? You're live.
Yeah,
so
I'm trying to get my.
You want me to take you out? Do you want me to take you out for a little bit like this, so people can just look at me and Joe for a little bit? What's going on? But anyway, so how'd it work, man? Did you get all your animals back out? Everything's good?
Nah, I still got everything inside because we hit like 48 last night. And then today it was supposed to be sunny, but it was really shitty, overcast, and then it started raining over here for a while. So I left everything in. I'm probably gonna put them out tomorrow, late morning. But it's a pain in the ass having them all inside for this long.
Brittany, you just give me a thumbs up when you're ready. Yeah, I know it is. I've got everybody out. I've had everybody put back out, so it's been kind of good. Look at Brittany. Whoa, my gosh. We have another. I think we have another secret. We have another secret peeker. Whoa.
What's up?
What's up, guys?
What's going on?
Laptop.
It's good to see everybody. Let me see here. We got some comments. Judy, hey guys. Michelle, hey, how you doing? Let's just put some of these comments up there popping in, which is really good. I want to talk about stuff, Brittany. I'm kind of looking excited about what we're going to do. Does our arm turn into a blaster cannon? Who the hell are you talking about, Daniel? What are you talking about? What's up, Corey? How you doing, buddy? Man, so this Saturday, it's going to be really dark and mysterious, right? Is that what's happening this Saturday?
Happening. It's finally that Saturday.
I know we're not going to get into a whole bunch of it, but I'm kind of excited about, doing this kind of stuff is fun. I know Jimmy's already got to go, and so it's going to be new for me and Joe. Should we wear diapers?
Yes, definitely wear diapers.
That's it. And tank tops. Yeah. I want mine to have like Lilo and Stitch or something on it then if we're going to do that.
Badass.
Bumblebee Transformers, you goof. There's a story. It's a long story of the names I call my sister. Daniel killed his sister, so he doesn't have one anymore. But he doesn't have one. He doesn't have one to pick on. But it's okay. It's all right. I can think of somebody he would pick on. But anyways, yeah. So when is this? What are we doing? Talk to me. I want to hear about it. Let everybody know. I want to know what we're doing. I know Brittany and Jimmy have put a lot into planning, and Joe and I are just holding hands in the background, waiting eagerly.
I guess all we're going to say is Saturday we're going to get there for our nighttime hunt, and we're going to go live, right, Brittany?
Yeah, we'll all be going live from the Wtf Paranormal official Instagram, and then we'll switch around and do from our Facebooks, just so that I know some of our Facebook viewers don't have Instagram, so it might be hard for them to click in and watch on Instagram. So we'll bounce around, and I'll list the links of who to go to watch the live. But it will be, a big paranormal investigation as far as the location and the history. So
be a lot of fun.
A good time. Bring in my gear.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
That arrives this week, so I'm excited about that. That some of my equipment that I've got the replacements for, and the REM pods, though, like that's no joke. Those are always back ordered or take a month or two to get in because everybody wants a REM pod. So the moment yours breaks, you're just screwed until it can come in. And mine's been broken for.
So it's always good to have one on standby, huh? Always ready to go.
REM pods on standby.
REM pods on standby.
I don't have one of those right now at the moment. You don't really need one. I mean, realistically, you don't really need one. You can do other things besides a REM pod, because REM pods are most of the time just to pick up the sensors of something coming up to or touching it or within a certain, proximity of it to go on and off. And it gives you, like you can ask a question, and if it goes off on your questions, like back to back, dealing with them. But there's other equipment that'll have it.
Jason Ryder. Wow, look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Jason Ryder from Secrets of the Zoo on the Disney Channel. So we're not going to say words like fuck or shit or anything like that while he's here, because you don't want to upset him. What time is it starting, Brittany? What time is that starting?
Yeah,
that's what we're going to do.
I think we'll probably try and go live on the accounts between 8. But as we get closer and we have an idea of what time we're all going to get there, we want to make sure that we're all there together when we launch to go live. So we'll probably start at, I'm going to say 8. 8's a good time, I would say, because we'll be into it by that
Awesome.
time.
Are we just meeting out
What's
there?
up, Jeff?
We're going to meet up somewhere and all ride out together.
Well, it's roughly about 40 minutes from my house,
Awesome.
roughly 35 to 40 minutes. I mean, so everybody could show up at my place, and we could all, we could carpool in 2 cars. The last time we just followed the neighbors, over there. So
Okay. So it's an hour for me to get to you, then it's going to be like another hour. So it'll be another 40 minutes.
It's roughly 35 to 40 minute drive.
This is worth it again.
Just let me drive.
Yeah, it'll turn into a 20-minute trip.
Hey, listen, Jimmy will be as gray as me and Jeff if Joe drives. Can't be any worse than Flavio in the mountains. Let me tell you. If any of you have ever been up Mount Lemon, I'm sure Sarah's sitting somewhere near Jimmy. It was a very stressful situation, dude. I have never been on 2 wheels in my life in the mountains like that, dude, while I was in a car. I've done it on a motorcycle, but never in a vehicle have I been on 2 wheels. And that's just awesome. Jeff said that turtle jumped in my way. Dan, has Jimmy ever experienced the legends of the deep hole?
Whoa.
I'm not sure how he's going to receive that. So let me talk about that, what he means by that. he's talking about Deep Hole, Mayaca, Florida, where we go, and there's an extreme amount of alligators. And we were looking at them last week, and we went to there, and there was a big couple of really, really big alligators. One was very challenging. I found very impressive. And Daniel actually crawled through the grass like he was in the movie Predator, pretty close to it before it realized he was there. So it was really interesting. And then he calmly stepped back, and he didn't make any illegal moves. He was like, "Wow, I got a little close for the picture," and when he backed up. But there's quite a bit of alligators out there, and it's worth going to see. If you haven't been there, it's worth the walk. It's about a 2-mile walk.
I don't think I've ever been.
I
don't think I've ever been there.
We'll have to do it. It's a lot of fun, Joe. We have to go out there. You'll have a really good time.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Don't tell Sarah.
What about that legendary deep hole?
The legend of the deep hole. The legends. You know what though, Dan? Since you're sitting there, I would like you to type up a legend for me. You can actually call Corey if you want it to sound better, but go ahead and type up a legend of the black hole or the deep hole. Jeff, yes. Dan said again, Benny got most. Yeah, you got a lot of pictures. We got a lot of pictures out there. It was really neat. It's really neat to see. We should go out there sometime. If you haven't been there, it's worth looking at. So we're going live at 8:00. I'm excited about that too. And that's going to be up at, are we allowed to talk about what it is that we're going to see again, just for anybody that might be new here?
Yeah, that's fine. That's okay.
Well,
are you sure? Okay, are you sure?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
I will put a disclaimer of people from our close friends and people who do follow and watch to the secret watchers who look for things to make us look bad. If you didn't think we're crazy enough now, you just wait till that's done. You'll have a whole bunch of things to talk about. So,
no, it'll be fun.
I think we ought to call. We ought to find a really neat word for it in one of our investigations team. I mean, I remember there was one called TAPS. I know we're WTF, which means what the fuck paranormal. If you're still listening, Jason, I'm sorry, bro. We're just really a bad bunch. We truly are a motley crew, except for my sister. She's pretty nice. She doesn't say bad words, and
Hey, I'm gonna let the dog out of the
Christian,
room.
so
He's gonna start barking because of
why?
thunder.
Don't let the dogs out. Do you ever look good? Do you ever look good? I love it. Yeah, I look so bad. I was actually visiting one time at a big event that they had there that Jason and them had. It was a thing on Komodo dragons, which, by the way, was a really, really good thing to see. There was even a weird guy there selling T-shirts. I'm not going to get into that, but I was getting bad to go back and see. I guess the wild dogs back there had some pups or something. We were going to go back and look at them, and I think a baby rhinoceros, I think. And man, security stopped me, wouldn't let me in, bro. Jason had to come all the way up. And she's like, no, he's really okay. He can come in. It was really terrible, dude. Earmuffs. Don't take them off. And for those of you that haven't seen it, really, if you have the Disney Plus channel and you go to Secrets of the Zoo, it's there's a whole thing on Zoo Tampa. It's pretty cool.
It's cool.
I do it all. I'm feeling lonely and I want to see a good smile. I look up Jason. I watch him.
That's it.
I do. I like Jason. He's awesome, dude. I would just talk mad fun shit about him all the time. Every time we went out there when he was there, I had a really good time with it. He looks like.
And then Jason's also came out to you to see.
Yes,
a couple
for
times.
Jimmy kind of cracked up a little bit. He did come.
And...
Yep, he came out there and hung out with us, and we let the lemurs run around all over his lemurs because he brought his little hairless lemurs with him that day. And they were all jumping around that, and they had a really good time. I think I had a really good time. It was all smiles and crocodiles that day, man, for sure.
Nice,
cool,
very cool, very cool. So, yes, do you know that tornado that just went through the Ocala area was within literally 8 miles to our house, and it was supposedly.
So it would have been Crocnado for you then, wouldn't it?
Bro, it would have been shitty. And the tornado was 200 yards wide, supposedly. So it was 2 football fields wide.
Oh, seriously?
Yep.
So it did.
They would have been throwing crocodiles all over.
Yeah, we got very lucky. Yeah, it was on the ground from Denellen through Ocala, Marion County, and I think it was on the ground for almost 30 minutes, roughly.
Oh man!
And it was only an EF1, so luckily it was nothing huge. But I mean, it was sustained winds, I think, of like 130 miles per hour, roughly.
Shit.
So we got lucky. I mean, there's a picture a friend sent us, and you guys have been to my house. There's that pizza place right in Silver Springs, like 10 miles.
Yes.
The picture was the tornado in the background of that pizza place, and pretty crazy.
Really?
I mean, like. Dude, it was literally within 10 minutes of our place, not even 8 minutes. So it was nuts. Scary. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. It's a bottom picture.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Oh my God.
Yep.
It's crazy.
But yeah, so and there was no warnings. No nothing. We did, because you know how you normally get like weather channels, like the phone just goes crazy. And there's been a lot of complaining that we had no warnings with anything. So
it's funny, our warnings went off that we were on a tornado warning.
Now we got told we were on a tornado watch, but if it goes to a tornado warning, it turned like your weather app will turn all red. It tells you to shelter. We didn't get any of that, and this thing was only not even 10 minutes from us, and we didn't get anything.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, ours said warning. Our whole screen was red. We got 2 warnings that came in.
Okay, we didn't get any warning.
Like, we're on a warning, and I was like, "What? When?"
Yeah. Well, because a warning doesn't specifically mean it's on the ground. It means that it's favorable, I think, for.
Well, they've seen the motion,
right? Or it's funnel. It's the spinning. Okay, the circulation's there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say Danny because I had to ask to pronounce the name right. Daniela. She is from South Florida too. And they have a bunch of stuff going on. But I just found out today, after her looking at some of our stuff, that she actually investigates paranormal as well. I think that's pretty cool. So
awesome.
Definitely want to be in touch with that because maybe they have some stuff down in the South area down there that we could go get ourselves into. But there's been a lot of things. I mean, there's been a lot of things that happened down South Florida. So there's really interesting.
War Party Paranormal in the South, and they know us well from WTF, and they've invited us down many times. So there's a lot of locations in the South that we can always go to.
Hey, let me ask you guys a question: Is Is it just me breaking up when I hear you guys? Are you hearing Brittany all the way through? Or is she crackly?
Brittany,
Everything's crackly to me.
Hello?
It's sounding crackly?
Everything's crackly and
I
delayed
hear-
on my end.
Flamingo Gardens, we done an investigation. Wow, you did one at Flamingo Gardens? And then she said War Party is great as well.
Yeah, we're part of your good people. Very good people.
That's pretty awesome, actually. That's pretty cool. So, yeah, we should definitely go down there and check some of that out. Britt is crackly, Michelle said. I hope if I'm crackly or whatever, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to make sure we're all working here. I don't know if it's Brittany. Maybe it's Brittany's earphones or I don't know.
I don't know. I got serious lag.
Well, there is a storm over here for me on my side, and Jimmy just went through it, so we might have some still bad.
No, I have one right now. I have another storm coming through right now. I got bad bands going through. So
we do too. So maybe that might affect tonight's show. And I'm sorry, guys. I want to apologize for that. Recently we've had a bunch of lightning and storming here as well.
I hear it cracking. I don't know where it's coming from. Yeah.
It does. Doesn't it sound like a little somebody typing? It's scary.
That's what it sounds
that's
like.
what it sounds like. It does. It sounds like
Judy
typing.
says it's you, Britt.
I just turned everything
I think
on.
it's coming from Britt's computer. If she takes her AirPods out, it'll probably work for her. Take them off. Hello? Bumblebee?
Is that better?
I still
Can you hear us?
I still hear it.
You have to unplug them. I can't hear you, Brittany.
I still hear it.
I did unplug it.
Now I hear you. Yes, Jeff. That's exactly what we're doing.
I still hear it.
Yes.
It is the ghost typing.
It's crackly.
That's so weird. I don't know where that's coming
Danielle, I'll bring you on if you want to come on and chat. I have no problem doing that if you have stuff to talk about down there. I know that sometimes you guys are real finicky, but you ladies, about how you look when you get on the camera, but I'd be more than glad to pop you on if you want to come in.
That's so funny. Yep, I still hear it. Exactly. So it's not me,
yes,
y'all.
You're right, Jeff. It is you're right. I guess that's what you meant. It is the crackling.
Yeah.
Okay, just keep an eye on your text messages.
It does sound like somebody's typing.
Good. Joe, you still with me?
Do we have a typer? I'm typing the entire show right now.
Joe, I don't hear Joe anymore.
You don't hear me?
Is anybody
I got
there?
you there.
I hear Joe.
I hear Joe.
I hear you, Jimmy and Brittany. Joe, can I hear you? I can hear you, Joe.
Can you hear me?
There you are. I got you.
Nah.
Jeff said, look at this. Jeff said that Brittany looks gangsta tonight.
Thanks, Jeff. I just felt left out. I felt like I needed to have a hat, and I just so happened to have one.
That's awesome. Let's see here. Copy that.
Tim, how cold was it up by you last night?
By me?
Yeah.
I took my headphones off to see if that was the problem. You guys, do you still hear it? Yeah, it's still there.
It's still there. I don't know where that's coming from. That is the weirdest sound.
Yeah, that clicking sound is strange because it's not on my behalf.
No, I just took these off, and now I'm going to put them back in. But it definitely sounds like someone's tech typing. Just like boom, 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 boom.
I'm probably tapped. Sorry, guys. Anything I do is watched.
You probably are tapped. That's weird.
No, we were in the 60s last night. 58, 60 degrees.
Really?
Yeah, and then tonight we're in the 60s again.
It's a keyboard and a water bottle crackling. Oh, I think I have her. Hold on here. Somebody's knocking at the blue door. Knocking at the door. Boom. Danny, what's up?
Hey guys, how's it going?
How are you? So I've known you for a while, but I just found out now that, when you just said that you did paranormal investigations, I had no idea. We don't tell a lot of people that because people get weirded out. They freak out.
Same. I don't really publicize it too much. I'll maybe put out there when I'm going to do an investigation if I have something going on, or we do a lot of public events as well. We do a lot of outreach stuff. So I'll post that every now and then, but it's not something I, front and center page on my Instagram or Facebook or anything like that.
Well, we have two other pages for that. I have the Winchester Manor, which is my house because my house is decorated as a haunted house. When you come in, that's how my home looks. It does not look normal.
That's
when people
awesome.
come here, they're like, will I be sacrificed or what's going on? I go, no, it's just the way we live here. But with that being said, there's that. And then we have, WTF Paranormal, which we go out. And there's been a bunch of really good stuff. Jimmy and I have been on some really good things. Jimmy's real sensitive to stuff. And so it's interesting watching him get touched and pushed around.
Let me tell you, I've known you for a bit now, Troy. I've known Jimmy a little bit longer, and I never knew that you did that stuff either. That's really cool.
Yeah, we've done it for a little while now, and it got, when Sarah and I got together, it got a little bit more, in depth of us doing it. But when we traveled on the road before we knew Brittany and Troy, we did some stuff, fun. It was all fun. We never did it for professional, but once we got with Troy and Brittany, and I found out they love it, and Brittany's been in this forever, and so now we've taken it to another level, which is pretty cool. So
that's awesome. And there's a lot of cool places. I mean, north and south of Florida ranges that, I mean, you can go down to the Keys. Obviously, the Keys is such a hub for things, but then you have stuff in St. Augustine, just like Gainesville, Jacksonville area. I joined my team about 2 years ago, right before the pandemic, and I thought the timing couldn't have been more perfect because it also gave me something to really throw myself into when I was without a job and stuff. I was able to put my full attention into helping out this team that I love. I love the team that I'm with. We're called Paranormal Existence Research Society, or PERS for short. And
nice.
Yeah, our team leader, his name is Bill Slevin, and he's been doing paranormal researching for 30 years. But apart from the paranormal sciences and stuff that he's into, he's also an IT director for a substance abuse and a rehab center. So it's really interesting in working with him and so closely with him, and especially with a lot of the residential cases, he sees a lot of both sides sometimes, because it's not always going to be something paranormal. Sometimes it's something a little bit more in depth. And so when we're getting really personal with these people who are allowing us into their homes, and we tell them hey, we try to come in on a professional level that we're going to tell you if it's paranormal or it could be something else. And legally, we can't tell you need to seek medical attention. We believe that you're hearing voices. We believe that you're seeing things and you're experiencing things, but we're not getting anything with a lot of our equipment. And he goes very crazy for all types of equipment. Being an IT guy, he invests a lot of money in a lot of cool gear and equipment. Every day, he's always sending us new pictures of stuff that he gets. So it's been pretty cool.
That's really awesome. That's a really neat thing to do. Yeah, we Jimmy and I think Joe popped off here for a minute, and then when he came back on, I get a little crackly. I know Joe's not wearing an earpiece, and I think his volume's up a little bit because that's where I think I'm getting a little feedback from Joe. So that might be a possibility. So if I'm too crackly, I'm sorry.
No, I can hear you guys.
Okay. What I was going to say was we took Jimmy to St. Augustine, and we went to a place that nobody goes to, and because they were unaware of what it was. And Jimmy will tell you, he was in the room there. A few things happened to him that was pretty good.
It was fun.
Yeah, we actually had full body apparitions completely walk out of the wall. And then we had somebody there that actually owns a very reputable company, has never had any experience with anything ever. When they saw this, they were in the room with us. When they saw this, they just completely freaked out. That's right there. So even someone who was completely there, when an apparition comes out, it came completely out to Jimmy. And I was like, it's right on you. And it was just right
incredible.
There. That stuff is awesome. Then they started throwing coins at him. And things were flying.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Yeah. And I mean, and people, they just have no idea that stuff exists. I mean, they try to justify it. And I think you're taught to do that as a kid, to justify things, because you have to keep everybody in line, because the more you know, the more you know. And I can take that back.
You got to open yourself up.
Everybody can do it.
Yeah. If you're willing to even consider it, if you have a little bit of, curiosity, that's the first step, rather than people who really choose to live their entire lives in denial of anything like that ever being possible or ever existing. And it's I knew from a young age, I always question what happens after you pass on. We're just these, forms of energy, and energy doesn't die, it just transforms. But it's not just, you have a funeral, you get put in the ground, and that's it. That's the end of your existence. I always knew that there was something that I wanted to believe in that happens afterwards, if it's an actual consciousness or not. But then being able to kind of explore that curiosity in kind of a little bit more of a controlled situation with a team of people who've been doing it for a long time, and actually have things to like document things that you're experiencing. So you're just like, you don't believe it unless you're actually there to experience it. And that's why I always tell people, I'm like, yeah, like, I could tell you things, but it's a totally different thing to actually be there and experience it for yourself, and it changes you.
I agree 100%. I got, most of my life, but I stepped away from it for a little while because sometimes it gets to be too much. I know that there's a lot of people that talk about feeling scared, or I was getting annoyed. There was too much coming to me, and I started getting really annoyed with it. And so, a lot of times that's how I'm very more reclusive of a person with animals or whatever. There's a lot of stories about me. I'm a method dealer. I create this, or I've done this, or yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of things about me. It's just, I'm very reclusive when it comes to that stuff. And I can resort it back to what she was talking about, being a person to be open to something. And we all have it. And I think we're born with as children. I think we're more susceptible to seeing things and understanding as a child than you are as an adult, because you start to reason things out a little bit more and you try to make it more of a logical explanation, when really there's nothing logical about it. It is what it is. It just happened, and that's that. You try to fix it. But I take that back. Even when I talk about crocodiles, everybody will say, oh, they're just a big dumb thing, and their brain's just big. Yes, they have a very small brain for their body size. However, they use the entire brain. So they actually, if you really look at the numbers, according to the biology books we have, if you look at crocodiles, they use a higher percentage of brainwaves than we do. And I'm sorry, I think that's that's and amazing. Crocodiles, they have cerebral cortex. That means they can reason. Not a lot of wildlife have a cerebral cortex. So this animal reasons, and that's why we found over them that they're anywhere from 14 to 17 times smarter than dogs. That's why all of my crocs and Jimmy's crocs, they'll know their name. You can just say, "Hey, come here, Lee," and she'll run right up to you. I don't care if there's 100 of them.
Yeah,
they know. And so that tells me that the intelligence that they can understand vocabulary. And we have got a vocabulary now. We're working with the cassowary, and they're up on understanding 6 different words in the human vocabulary in the English format. And so that just shows you the amazingness of things, and that there is something a lot different. And I think, like I said, I've had conversations earlier where people were talking about just their religion or their personal views block them from what they allow themselves to see.
Absolutely.
That's the best I can tell you. So if you follow a religion a little too tight, you're going to block yourself, because you're going to try to justify it or blame it on the red devil or the good guy on the cloud or Buddha or whatever you're doing. But it's really not. It's a little bit more in depth, and yet it's still really simple. How's that sound? So you block your own ability to see things that, or maybe past loved ones that have the form to come to you, and you block it because of your own way of seeing things. And I mean, there's a lot of wealthy and powerful people that know this and won't talk about it because they just don't want to be looked at like they're dumb. But who's judging them? It's definitely not their peers.
Well, that's something that's major too. I'm sorry, I have a little chihuahua that's going to bark. But like I said, a big part of like what our team does, apart from, the fun and the public investigations that we try to do, I personally am like the head of all the residential cases. So like on our website, we have an application, or kind of like a form that we ask people to fill out. And it's a very excessive form, because we also don't want just like any, Joe Schmo just like out here messing with us and just like putting in, asking for help and asking for our attention, when really he's just like messing with us. Like, if you actually have something going on and you're seeking actual help, you're going to take the time to fill out this form and give us the information that we need and details and stuff. But then once we get past that part of it, those emails and those forms are coming to me, and I'm calling these people directly. And a lot of them are like, you can hear them like trying to like get away from like whoever they're around, because this is the first time that they're going to have somebody reaching out to them who's wanting to listen, because I'm not going to come to you in any kind of judgmental way. You don't even know who I am, but I'm here to tell you, hey, you reached out to us. This is my response. I want to hear about what you're experiencing, with like all like secrecy. Like, we don't publicize any of the residential cases. Like, you can tell us everything that you're experiencing. And, this is a listening ear. with no judgment whatsoever. Because there's some people who will take the time to do these forums, and yet they live in a household with other people who want to block off everything and don't want to acknowledge anything. And these people are still reaching out and they're like, we need help, even though these other people would rather live like as if nothing's going on. But there's clearly things like there's people who are like really going through just like, you know, depression and, you know, things just kind of draining of energy and causing a lot of friction in households and stuff. And like, you know, the idea of having a paranormal team, reaching out to a paranormal team isn't always the most like first thing you think of when you want to like fix a situation for a household like that. But we tell them like, you know, we're willing to work with you guys, but it does have to be like everybody has to agree to it. You know, everybody has to be aware of what we're doing if we're going to be coming into your house. And when we go to the house too, we also tell them like, it's not going to be like what you see on TV and movies, which ruins everything for everybody because they're expecting like the full on lockdown with like people running around with cameras and stuff. I'm like, it's more of like a me and Bill. We go, we sit down, we interview in person. We're going to walk around. We're going to get a feel for things. If we're getting a lot of response and we feel like we need to come back and continue, we might bring like one or two other people with a few other pieces of equipment, but it's not anything to like scare anybody any further. And it's always such a big deal just to allow us into your house in the first place, like, because it's so taboo to so many people.
And I really like that too, that you do that. I'm more along the lines that I think the worse it is where I end up wanting to go. So it's always good that like Brittany will take stuff, but it has to be really dark for me. I actually like it, and I get stuck in that realm really well, and I really enjoy being there. And I know I shouldn't stay around there too long, but I do really enjoy that side of things. And so there's some things. I mean, there's a whole separate field of the way that works. I don't use any equipment, but Jimmy will tell you he knows what happens. And I remember this little kid. He ran into the room, and as I said to Jimmy, I said, "There's a kid in the room." He ended up reaching up and he grabbed Jimmy's shirt. Now that's all on video; you can see it, and his shirt shakes. And then the other psychic that was with us said, "Yeah, he's sitting right there in the corner." And Jimmy said, "Will he talk?" And I said, "No, he's just looking at you. He wouldn't talk. He just looks at him." So for me, it's just it's a non. I like enjoy it enough where I don't really want to run it off. And I know that some stuff came at Brittany there a little bit, and I know there's some dark sides to things, but that's really where.
Brittany, being the female of the team, I mean, do you find yourself to be a little bit more of like almost like a trigger, not a trigger object, but like, do you find yourself
that's Jimmy
being a little bit more gravitated towards like when, you know, in a lot of these investigations, there's stuff being a female presence? Because I kind of have that experience myself sometimes.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the location. It's not so much as a trigger. I think sometimes the female presence isn't as ominous to what we're dealing with in the house. We are a little bit more, as a female, you're a little more emotionally connected. Mm-hmm. So we have that more sensitive side to us, like Jimmy. But I think is why Jimmy does get targeted sometimes too, is because he is mentioned, and that's something that they can pick up on. You know, when you have some of these tougher investigators that come into a building and they have like this air about them, it doesn't really matter the space. You have somebody that comes in that's a little bit more neutral and more calm and understanding. I always felt that it was easier to make contact because there's the gentleness there of understanding emotionally. You know, it's not this whole like come at it kind of thing, like come at me, bro. It's more or less like we're here to talk and tell us what's going on. You know, that type of sympathy action, and I think it's more of response.
I only went in one time provoking, and I got my ass handed to me, and I was 16, and I'll never do it again. And that's why I swore off. I'm like, okay, if I ever go forward with this, I am not the provoking type, because I learned my lesson. I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
Provoking.
Yeah, I don't know where the come at me, bro. I don't think I would ever do that either. I just kind of walk in and there's a lot of
I wasn't saying you. I was just meaning in general. There are individuals
people that act like that,
come in with that attitude, like I know what I'm doing and I'm going to step in here and get rid of these ghosts. And then they, like she said, they get their ass handed to them because sometimes you're not always dealing with a spirit. Sometimes you're dealing with a demonic entity that's like, oh, really, buddy? Let me just take this up a notch for you. And that
guy's can't wait to work on that.
You know, so it's like. You have to
fill out my application
first. You can't just walk in assuming you know the answers. You don't know anything yet. You have to let it kind of unfold for you and kind of let it talk to you.
Yeah. I went in, luckily nothing's ever harmed me. And
Good.
Being around my family and now like close friends and stuff that they know I've been involved on the team, and I put myself in a lot of situations these days. Like, been very fortunate. Nothing's ever attached. Nothing's ever followed me. I have like my prayers, my things that I do in order to kind of like cleanse myself once I leave a situation, once I leave an environment. But no, when it happened to me, I was 16, not knowing any better. I asked my mom to take me to this particular place because I learned that it was haunted, and that's what I wanted to do for my 16th birthday. It was it's in West Palm Beach. It's called the Riddle House, and it's like really famous.
I know the Riddle House.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was last year, guys.
Ghost Adventures had aired. It was like their second episode when they first aired. I'm 29 now, so I've been doing it for a little bit of time, and always, wanted to keep going and going. And at 16, I walk in because it's like open to the public. It's a village itself, where Yesteryear Village, where they have like all these old historic homes to like the city of West Palm, and they uprooted these original foundations and like all put them into like one spot. So the energy from all these homes are just like, they all have just like different presence and stuff, and it's really nice to like be there. And the Riddle House is just like very notorious for the gentleman who hung himself in the attic. But you can tour the entire house, but they have the attic padlocked, so no one's allowed to go there. War Party, they do their investigations there very frequently. I've been fortunate enough now, it was last year, so at 28 years old, I got to join them on one of their investigations after hours at the property of Yesteryear Village, and I got to do the Riddle House at nighttime with no public, like no barriers, and I kind of had like a full circle moment. But at 16 years old, I had my first and only full apparition experience. I was touched on the shoulder, caught my attention, had me turn around because I was there banging on the attic door. I didn't realize I was the only one upstairs. My mother had wandered back down. Everybody else from the group had wandered back down, and I'm there talking shit to the ghost. And I'm like, oh, like, you're not up there. Like, if you're here, prove it, Joseph. Like, just talking. And
Joseph, I like that.
Joseph was his name, the gentleman. And I had a woman tap me on the shoulder and turn around. I turned around, and she was just looking dead at me, and she had walked back into the other room across the hall, still looking at me. And there's still the mannequin in the opposite room with like a wedding dress, and she started like messing with the dress, and then she looked back at me, and I bolted out of that house faster than I think I've ever ran in my life, and that has always stayed with me. And then to be able to go and like be in the Riddle House at nighttime and kind of just like make my peace. Mm-hmm. And I was getting I was getting voices, EVP voices, but also like I can hear them without any equipment. I can hear voices in the house with me. It was really like, that was like the ultimate like moment for me in my paranormal experiences.
That's really cool. That's a neat thing, is you never forget that either. Somebody touches you in a
stays
special
with you
way.
forever.
Exactly.
We've actually done gator shows. We did gator shows at the Yesteryear, and that's at the South Florida Fairgrounds, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we did gator shows there for a couple of years in a row, but I don't think we ever went into any of the buildings. We weren't there for that. We were there for just doing reptile shows. But I didn't even know that any of those places had a history like that.
And what's cool, they really all do. Like, if you ever have an opportunity to like team up and War Party in them, like if you guys do know them, or, if you're in the area, we could try to arrange that. They go so frequently. They know each ghost at each house, and they have just like so much evidence itself, but like they go in like really just knowing these ghosts at this point, and just like be like, hey, how's it going this time? And they're always like just really active for them, because they're just really familiar with their presence and their energy, that it's just like it's really cool to go with somebody who is so familiar with the property and with the history, so you're learning along the way, but that they're also really comfortable with the spirits that are there. So it's pretty cool.
So I like that too. But Jimmy, when you go ahead, Joe, were you going to say something?
No, you said that's awesome.
Yeah, the Joe in the darkness there.
Joe, where the hell are you, bro?
Listen to me. He is the dark side right now. He's a Sith.
In my truck.
I'm in my truck, you fucker. I can listen to him talk all day. We'll get into that later, Joe. But I got to tell you, you can talk to Sarah. When we were at the fairgrounds, you took Jacob into the gator ring with you, and there was a woman with him, and I didn't want to get into it, but I explained it all to Sarah, so I won't take it any further. But you go ahead and talk to Sarah about that. She'll remember that right there. So I think you brought there was an unaware of us. I think you took Jacob in, and he had a visitor in there with him. Jacob did.
And do you think this lady's with him all the time?
I can't hear you now, Jimmy. Can anybody else hear Jimmy?
Yeah, he said, do you think she's with him all the time?
Try that again, Jimmy.
Do you think you said this lady was with Jacob, right?
Yeah, kind of holding him a little bit back. Do
you think she's with him all the time?
Yes.
His mother passed away when he was young.
No, that's probably who it is. I don't know. I'll just explain what she looked like so you guys can talk to his caretakers. But
I don't know what she looks like. I don't know. She passed away when he was very, very young. Very young.
Yeah, well, you can talk to them and ask. Sarah knows. But it was interesting because I was telling her, look, Jimmy's walking forward and she's kind of like hesitant to let him move. So very protective over him. Very.
Wow.
So
have you ever picked up on that when you were here? Because you've been in my house with him.
Yes, I never know what I mean by yes is yes, I've been with you, but I didn't pick up on it until the day you put him in there with you, and it seemed a little bit different. I think you were
because of like the danger levels in a sense?
I think so. I think you're kind of it was kind of like, oh my gosh, yeah.
Huh.
It was neat. But like I said, he carries he's got some dark things hanging on him too, buddy. That'll going to try to tear him down. You can smile if he's watching. He has a couple of dark things that hang on to him. He needs to be careful of.
But him out.
That's very careful. You got to be careful with that because a lot of times, especially when you're young, you're not fully functional yet on your ability to reason and what you're doing, and sometimes you can open up gates that you're unaware that you open up, and you may be perceiving something differently as a youngster, and you can actually create something dark around you that you don't mean to create. And then what happens is it takes a hold of you, almost like wiring into your personality. So it now becomes a common reaction to act. And you'll notice that some kids will start, they'll let's just say they're an angry kid to begin with, right? And so they get into dark, heavy metal. Now, the guys that are singing this metal are in their late 30s and 40s, and they're what they're talking about is experiences now. They're listening to something, and they're opening up their mind to it. So it's considered a form of meditation, right? And there is a truth to binaural beats. Remember that. So a certain type of beat can open a different intelligence, and you can allow something in that you may not want to come in that may or may not necessarily be human. So you have to be very careful how you react to certain things that you see or listen to, for example. Especially when you're young and you're starting to feel kind of because you can accidentally hurt yourself in ways you don't even want to do, just because you're not careful. And unfortunately, it usually happens to kids that are really, really creative and they're not recognized for it. And so you'll have, like when I was a kid, it was everybody was equal. Like, oh, well, you have to do this or you have to do that or you have to do this or that. But some of us are just really creative and our brains work differently than the person next to us. It doesn't mean they're a bozo, but they're just a normal. And now, like you hear people talk about it in common terms like basic bitch, level, whatever. But there were kids that were like that when I was young, and they were stuck with kids who weren't like that. And so then in that form, you become angry and you outburst, and you're not really recognized for what you're creating or you are, and it becomes like a problem. And so you can open up yourself to things that you can end up carrying most of your life, and you don't want to carry with you. Once they're there, they're there.
Very true.
And you have to be really strong-willed to understand it. And if you're oblivious that they're there, you're just going to do dumb shit and not really know why you're doing it. Because you've opened up stuff you haven't fixed. A lot of times it's mental.
Yeah. When I went looking for it, like I think a lot of us are at first very curious, and I knew that I was curious from a young age, but I felt that obviously asking to go for like my birthday, I learned my lesson there, and I never asked to go back. I was never, seeking to do any kind of like investigating on my own, or like I just like respected it and I just left it alone. But then something, right before the pandemic, something was just kind of telling me like, hey, just kind of look to see if there's anything that you can get involved in the area, because that was my idea. I'm like, if I'm going to try to explore this curiosity a little bit more, I want to do it in the safest manner with people who know what they're doing, or like people who have a little bit more experienced than me and like can kind of guide me, because we're all sensitive. I believe that we're all sensitive in all abilities.
I think it's special.
Yeah, and it's you know, it's just, I think this is just one of those, I call it a hobby, but it really is like a different way of like the way I see the world. I don't really practice any religions or anything, but like this is something that I feel very
out.
I don't really I'm not an atheist in any way. I just don't know what I am. But I do have a sense of spirituality. So that was also something I was wanting to kind of understand if going into this kind of like world of like really trying to open myself up. But I'm also doing it in the sense that I'm helping a lot of people along the way.
Right.
And that's what I love the most about it. But it's always fun to just, you know, be able to go out and also just do it for fun, the investigating aspect of it, and try to get things documented and whatnot, or just to go and have an experience with a group of people. It's just nothing like it. So
yeah, this is my first time.
This is your first time?
Yeah.
Oh,
pop my cherry on Saturday.
Yeah.
Listen, it could be popped in much worse places. Let me tell you, I've seen some stuff, and I'm like, listen, my neck hair just grew 5 inches.
Well,
I'm gonna leave the room for a minute and come back refreshed.
Like, we've talked about stuff that I've encountered like by accident before, but this is my first time actually like going out professionally seeking it. So I'm curious to see how this goes down.
David, Jacob is a friend.
It's gonna be fun. Yeah.
Jacob is a friend of Jimmy's. They're neighbors, and Jimmy is friends with him and his family. And Jacob helps a great deal with Jimmy out there, and really helps him out a lot on the field a lot. So it's kind of a blessing that they're both there together, because it gives them both something to do out in the boondocks. It's going to be the Boondock Saints.
That's right.
I was worried. I was scared. Listen, man, I'm a grown man, and it isn't even about ghosts. But I remember going out the back, and Sarah turned the light switch off, and I was going out to my truck, and it was pitch black out there. Good God, bro. I was like, my God. I just thought I was going to get abducted like by a Sasquatch and just ran off into that valley over there. I'm like, this is Ocala. Then something screams. Turns out it was like a bull or something. But you're like, what the hell was that? It's not the paranormal I worry about out there. It's that weird shit. That shit is far.
We had coyotes yapping like crazy last night.
Oh, I love that, bro, because cool. There's a piece of my soul that still lives in Arizona, and it always will. I mean, that's where my sister was born, by the way. But it just seems that's it. Dude, when you used to hear the coyotes coming in off the mountainside, man, I got to tell you, man, just being out west is it's just a whole different thing. You know, Jimmy, we went there.
Oh, we love it. It's awesome. Yeah, we had a blast.
Me and Jimmy got a wild hair, but since we're such pieces of shit, I just want to put that out there. One day we decided, hey, we're going to go out. We had some meetings with some networks. So I showed up at his house. I go, well, fuck it, we'll drive. So we drove from Florida all the way to LA in a convertible Mustang, dude. You know what I'm saying? It was the best time ever, man. It was the best.
We were out snake hunting in the deserts of Arizona. Blew a tire on the desert.
I blew the whole wheel out. We had a slow profile Mustang, bro, and there was this fucking Colorado river toad right in the middle of the road. I said, look at this. It looked like Jabba the Hutt naked. I spin around as fast as I can, it goes boom, and we blew the wheel. It was bullshit.
Hey, but we were right next to one of those what was it, little horned adders or whatever, those little horned vipers. It was pretty cool. It was neat. He climbed into that little tree. We lost him.
Joe, you been to Arizona?
No, I've never been there.
You ever been out there?
Oh man,
I've driven through Arizona. I've never stopped.
Oh man,
yeah.
Sierra Vista, Slide Rock, Nogales, Tucson, Tombstone. All of it. It's just, you want to see like the old Wild West where the bullet holes are still in the wall, you know, down in Tombstone where all those card players were killed and all those I mean, it was just, there's just so much to it, man. It's there's a lot there. There's a lot of really
sounds awesome like you need to go with like the right group of people, like the right company to do a road trip like that. Because God, that sounds.
The last one we did, we took Sarah. We did one because once in a while, it's often duplicated but never imitated. I'll do a Croc Star tour, and Jimmy stayed back, and Sarah went with us on this trip this time, and because she's just a Tombstone fanatic. Like I know that's like her favorite thing in the world.
Me too.
And we actually. You know, I got to get super baked to get on an airplane or I'm fucking nightmare. Like I cannot fly. I'm the Abaracus. I'm like Mr. T. Someone's gonna knock me. I cannot fly. I have a hard time. So we made the flight. We ended up flying into Denver. The whole group, our whole group did, and we had some good times. No, we flew into Las Vegas and we got a whole bunch of good candy, and then we drove into Arizona. But it was a really good time. But if you know when you do the trips, we know exactly what ghost towns we're going to hit, and we call ahead and do those plans, and we just all go out. We all meet up there, and we'll all fly out, and it's a group thing. Flavio does it, and so when we put it together, it's like everything's already done. So his business already calls ahead, and so we go to the bird cage, and then we stayed at this hotel, and then we did this, and it's too cool because it kind of takes a lot of bullshit out of it. So I know we're putting on a Belize trip pretty soon too. I'm gonna see about getting on that. I think maybe Jimmy might spearhead that one. I might get scared.
Well,
you're not
I'm
getting scared. That's not happening.
I'm always open to an invitation for any ghost town trips, so let me know for sure. And I would love to introduce you guys sometime to Bill, and whenever you guys can come down and we can do an investigation together, that would be really dope.
No, look I got a response already. Look at this.
There it is.
Yay!
Well, there's the manager. All right. There's the manager. Time to stop talking.
Listen, make sure your dad is home, Jim, when we come there Saturday, because according to Sarah, I have to walk around your kitchen naked to see how your dad reacts.
Okay. All right. It's going to be a party now.
I'm not sure if I would feel the same doing that. I mean, Joe and I have been on a couple dates, but we haven't got to that level. I might.
It's true. The last one had some vibration to it too, so we're taking it to the next level.
We had such a good time. We went to the movies the other night, and Joe scared everybody out of the front row so we could sit down. It was nice.
I had a muscle the whole row out.
He said, "Get up! You got the wrong number." I said, "Yo, they're on seats. I got this." Oh, dude, the movie was on and everything. You know, those people, we always end up in the back because these motherfuckers won't shut up, and that's us this time doing it. It's not the whole theater.
Yep, made the whole row move.
Oh my God!
Yeah, because have you ever heard of a D-box seat? Any of you?
The what?
Have you ever heard of a D-box seat? A D-box seat.
No.
Yeah, it's the one that moves and everything.
And you pay good money for it. So I was sitting there real quiet with Joe, and we're sitting there, and then the Batmobile flies out of this cave, and Joe's like, "Ooh!"
Yeah, I was like, "Holy shit!"
And he shakes back down, and he made me laugh because he was like eating popcorn, and you didn't expect the chair to shoot up off the floor. It was awesome. Those seats are the best. If you get in D-box seats, you got to go watch a movie that's wild.
Yeah, it was
now I'm gonna look for that option.
Yeah, look for the D-box.
I'm right there with you, Danielle. I'm telling you, I've been missing out.
Bro, I've been raving about those fucking those lobster rolls too. I've been telling everybody about them.
So I never heard what Damascus. What was it called? Damascus.
I don't remember, something lobster and barbecue.
So I thought it was a joke, right? So we walk inside, and this guy's the second thing on the menu is a ghetto roll. I was like, Joe, he's like, fuck it, let's do a ghetto roll. It's like this giant piece of Texas toast stuffed with lobster
and garlic and butter.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm telling you, so much lobster. A lot of them gave their life. There was 100 dead bodies in there. It was so
it was fucking
decorated with a claw. There was like a claw hook, and it was sticking out of the bread. And they're like, "What do you want, fries?" And we got this and that. So we got all these sides. Like this thing was so big, it was just like we would die. You can't eat like that all the time. You have a heart attack.
Yeah, definitely have a heart attack.
But it was legit. Like if someone was to make an extra thick Texas toast garlic butter, cut the middle open and shove it. I mean, fist pack that motherfucker.
See, that's the type of meal you take a picture of or you videotape, because none of us are gonna believe it. You would have to see it.
I got a picture of it.
Did you?
Put it up there. I took a picture when I hit the table. Like, what the fuck?
I was already kind of stoned.
Yeah. I mean, I said, what do you want to do? You want to go to Crispers? Like, I don't know. It's weird for me to go into Crispers because I don't really fit that style, but they got good food. Yeah. Like, you got to be a really clean-cut, presentable, pretty young man.
Yeah, we didn't fit that.
So I can't walk in with fucking John Gotti. Cody looks like fucking he's up to nothing, and then I look like I just got out of prison. So we ended up going to the place where it looked like we would fit in.
Yeah,
and the food was
good. Speaking of John Gotti, totally off subject, but I'm super excited. I just found out on Thursday in Fort Lauderdale, which I don't like going to Fort Lauderdale anymore, but I will for this event. Chaz Palminteri is hosting like a happy hour at like this like Cuban like little restaurant spot. I love Bronxdale. That's like one of my all-time favorite movies. I've seen him do like his one-man show of it years back. He's still on tour doing it, and I can't go see the show on Friday, but this is on Thursday, and I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna either like have a martini, or I'm going to just like raise a pint glass of beer to just like Chaz Palminteri. That's all I want for the entire night. Like to the ultimate like
that's really cool.
gangster of all gangster.
He's actually
like,
he's actually a really, really nice guy. Like a really I've met him several times.
I love him.
He is a very genuinely nice person. He's awesome.
I love him to death.
Yeah.
I watch his podcasts and stuff too. I feel like he's just like, I wish he was like a family member, like a grandpa or something that I can just like talk to. I think he's awesome.
I feel like that when I watch the Iceman talk. Like, man,
you feel like
he was a family member. Grandpa, what'd you do? Let me tell you something. I took that ice pick and I straight hooked his head off. Can you imagine what kind of stories you would have with your grandpa? It wouldn't be about fishing. It would be about hacking people up.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine? I mean, that's a real thing, guys.
That was a sick and dark individual.
Grandfather. John Wayne Gacy. He was, I mean, you know, Ed Kemper, one of my favorites. You ever read about him? Oh, yes. Please do.
Really no.
Ed Kemp.
Ed Kemp.
Yep.
Which one is he?
Ed Kemp, dude. He was one of the coolest serial killers. Let me tell you something. He did some things that I would never do, but I'll tell you what, that's some ballsy shit. That guy was something else. And then he ended up helping the FBI hunt people like him.
Okay. So he like turned good at the end, you think?
I don't think that he turned good. I just think he was just so intelligent that
he got off on stuff like that.
If you really want to get into it, Danny, there's a series on Netflix called Mindhunter. Yes. And it's all about him.
That's who it's based on? Okay.
That guy that sits there.
Mm-hmm.
And remember when he put his hand around the investigator's neck and he put his whole hand around him and he goes, "Don't worry, I won't kill you. I'm just showing you what I did." That guy was like this. That was a true. And you can actually find the video recordings of him really doing the interviews. And in the very end, if you watch, they'll split the screens. And that acting role and that real footage was so close. It was awesome.
Wow. That's it. Well, now I know what I'm going to watch tonight. There we go.
I think what did you ever watch it?
I started I started it like a few months back. I'm really terrible with commitment to shows. I never binge watch anything. I never it's very rare for me to actually like finish a series if I start something. But if it's a recommended, you know, something about like something that I like, I think I was like maybe 2 episodes in and I just kind of got distracted with like
Oh, well, let me tell you something. It's worth watching it all the way through into the seasons because it was really close. They were hunting separate serial killers at the same time. So you're watching all these different things and you find out things about these serial killers that you thought you knew, but you didn't. You know, that was real FBI footage stuff that they talked about because before they would just arrest somebody and put them in prison. They didn't care who they grabbed. Like Joe could be getting a Slurpee and he might fit the description. We've got him, folks. He's off the road just to keep the public happy.
Yeah.
So they start developing this psychological side and then they went deeper so that they could start catching them as children to curve it so that they wouldn't. And then there was people that actually found that ethically wrong to interfere with a child's growth. But they were looking for specific behaviors that they could correct to prevent them from becoming an actual serial killer.
I mean, there's children who murder and like they go like they don't obviously serve like a life sentence.
Well, they just don't understand what they're doing, right?
No, they don't. But like some show signs of like being sociopaths or something because they don't have the emotions or like they don't have the reactions of like you killed somebody. Kind of like they feel no empathy, they feel nothing. So like, what's them to stop them from doing that as they get older? So like sometimes I've seen just from like other documentaries of like children murderers and stuff that they'll go to more like facilities but are like kind of like homes where they're with other children who have also like murdered and stuff, but they're like they have to earn their
so that you think they can correct them?
Personally, I think every case is individually different. I can't speak on a whole. I think everybody's different. I think everybody.
You know, like some people, like I will never touch a lizard or a gecko or a snake, but you'll touch it like it's no thing. You're like, yeah, look at my lychee, right?
No.
But some people, man, they'll never do it. So I don't think you'll correct everybody. But here's an interesting fact. Not a fact, a question. So if you were with your man one night, he rolls over and he says, Danny, when I was between the ages of 9 and 13, I murdered about 7 people when I was a kid.
Peace. No, I'm
But they put me in a place and they
Crazy.
fixed it. And I don't have those urges anymore. So you can sleep comfortably. How would you feel?
I would say it's been 2 years and you're just telling me this now. That's a little concerning.
Right.
That's something that I would have appreciated to know a little bit sooner before I invested.
But now what's that done? Now every time you turn the lights off, you flick it back on real quick to see if someone's watching.
Yeah, I mean, would my guard be up? Oh my God, my dog, sorry. Would my guard be up? 1,000%. Would I look at him differently? 1,000%. I don't think
wouldn't anybody. So the point is, well, do they have if they take these children, here's the ethics that they were talking about. Are you being fair to the public if you cover it up completely and let them start a new life upon release? Or should it have to be public? So, and then there's a flip coin to that, because if Brittany really did kill those kids and no one did tell them about it, then you're being fair to the public.
Oh my God.
You understand what I mean? So are you being fair to the public? So there's that too. So I guess we'll just have to ask the ghosts of the victims. We can do that.
End of the day, I'm like, but do you want to be friends with the enemy too? You just want to make sure you stay on their good side, if anything. And if that were to be the case, if I ever knew somebody that I thought I knew and they're just like, hey, later down the line, by the way, I killed somebody, I would definitely have to question my entire relation with them and just be like, do I think you're actually capable of doing it again? I would have to dissect it to just be like, what made you actually do it? Because we've all come to a point. I mean, hell, I've been arrested. I've assaulted one person. I can say that in my life. I never.
I'm sorry, children.
I didn't kill anybody. I just hit somebody. I actually punched somebody in a public setting. I never thought I'd be that person, but there was a buildup that got me to that point. And I look back at it and I'm like, who the hell was I? Would never do that again. I learned my lesson. It is what it is. So I think in every case, even when it comes to like murdering somebody, there's a buildup. There's a story to be told that leads up to, why it happened. So it's like, that's the part that I would dissect on such a level.
Exactly.
That's where I would determine, are we still going to be friends now that I know this about you?
Well, we're actually 2 minutes into the hour. So I'm just asking you guys to sit tight for a second. On one note, I'll end it with, if I did have a child and he was walking on his way to school and another child killed my kid, the other one would never make it to court. He would be fed off to Big Boy, and then I would call the police and turn myself in. And on that note, I'm going to end the broadcast. You guys stay put. I want to talk to you. Danny, thanks for coming in. Joe, Danny, sit tight. Brittany, as always. Nobody move. I'm going to end off here. And you guys, thanks for coming out and joining us. We'll see you next Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Hopefully this Saturday is a lot of fun stuff. So tune in.
And Saturday live. Saturday live.
We're going to do it live, and I'll do it live from as many areas as I can. And I would love to see you there. Wtf Paranormal, all of it. We're going to be doing all that. So, you guys.